Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing Comic Uno's Best Comics of the Week, so let's get started. This week I had 11 books, which is a pretty moderate-sized haul, and of course in the comments below, let me know your pick of the week, because at the end of the episode, we do the viewer's pick of the week. And of course, like, subscribe, and comment, because it really does help the channel. Now, moving into number 11, a book I kind of got on whim, and that was Broken Souls Ballad Issue 1 by Scout Comics. And, you know, I don't read enough Scout Comics, and I wanted to try this out because I'm a big werewolf fan. I like horror, and the cover looked cool, so I checked it out. And honestly, it was a little hard to get into this one. I felt like there wasn't a character to really latch on to, a heart type character to really bring a emotional thread here. Also, I felt like it was a very male-dominated book. Most of the main characters were male, and I felt like there were opportunities to have a bit more of a diverse cast, and they didn't really have it here. So that was a little disappointing as well. So overall, I'm going to give that 2 stars, and that is number 11. Moving on, well, I will say before I move on to number 10, the artwork was really good. I did like the kind of monster transitions. That really sold me on the art style of the book. But moving on to number 10, which is The Amazing Spider-Man issue 65. Yes, this is the end of... kind of the end of the King's Ransom story. We do have that one shot coming out next week, and I am kind of tired of this arc, and I'm ready for a new arc to begin. This was another scattered issue, a lot going on. We have to have a little kindred in the issue, so we do. And then the whole not love triangle, but just the Romeo and Juliet of it all with Robbie's son and then the Beetle character. They're moving in together. And honestly, there wasn't a lot of Spider-Man in this issue once again. He doesn't really have a role in this issue. There are some threads that kind of, I wouldn't say tie up, but at least move, and that's Boomerang still being missing and kind of getting a thread there. And then obviously what I mentioned with Robbie's son. But nothing that was totally interesting for me. Also, there are 2 artists on this book, and that was noticeable. I did like the first artist a little bit more, but there was a lot of stylized choices that I didn't really love. Like, there's a camera glare type thing, and then every scene kind of looked like it was snowing because of the little particles that were on the panels. So I didn't love that. But the pencils for the second artist I felt like weren't as strong. So overall, I'm giving this 2 stars. Still not really impressed with Amazing Spider-Man right now. So hopefully it picks up a bit. So moving on to number 9, which is Heroes Reborn issue 1. And Heroes Reborn, I picked up just to see what it was all about. I'm not reading Avengers right now, and I know if it's going to connect to anything, it's going to be that title. And I honestly was not sold by the premise. It's an alternate universe where our Avengers and superheroes never were superheroes, which, yeah, kind of is a cool concept, but do we need a whole wide event? I feel like I would want to buy this more if it actually was a miniseries all on its own, not with any tie-ins. I'm like, oh, that's a cool concept. I'll read issue 2 of that. But because this is so connected and having to read other titles besides the main book, I'm like, do I want to invest my time? Do I want to invest my money in an event that probably won't have too much consequence because it's an alternate reality? And if it does have consequence, it's going to be in Avengers, which I'm not reading. And the issue 1 was so expositionary. And speaking of characters, again, that could pull your heartstrings, I think that was supposed to be Blade, or at least he's supposed to be your, like, point of view character. And he was just kind of boring. And it was really, felt like a history lesson or a new history lesson of this is what Captain Marvel's doing, or Thor. This is what Tony Stark is doing. And there's not a lot of movement until, I guess, the end where he's like, I want to bring the Avengers back. It just moves so slowly, this issue. Not a lot happens. Didn't really grab me for that next issue. I don't think I'll be getting issue 2. I think the only 2 books I'm getting for Heroes Reborn is Spider-Man, because it's a one-shot, and then Spider-Gwen, because we don't really have much Spider-Gwen, so of course I'm going to pick that up. Other than that, I really don't see myself following this event too much, so you'll have to let me know how the event is going. So I'm going to give that 2.5 stars, and that, or actually I think I gave that 2 stars, and that is number 9. Artwork was probably the most solid part of that book. Moving on to number 8, which is The Immortal Hulk, issue 46, and This one is slow moving. We only have 4 more issues left of the Immortal Hulk, and I don't really feel like it really picks up until the end of the issue, which is a scene we've already seen before. So it's the Immortal Hulk, now kind of a red version of the Hulk with some red veins, fighting against the Avengers. And we literally had an issue like that maybe like 20 issues ago. So now we're recycling stories. But I did like the end where we get to see Betty involved. So I'm excited for some Betty. But the story was a little slow for me. The artwork is always gorgeous, and I do like that. And like I said, I think the action and the story does pick up in the end, but it didn't really kind of blow my mind. So I'm going to give that one 3 stars, and that is number 8. Moving on to number 7, I am upset to see this so low, and that is America Chavez, Made in the USA, issue 3. And I've been really liking this series, and I've never been, a hardcore America Chavez fan. I've liked her in certain things that she's appeared in, like West Coast Avengers, but I've never really been a huge fan of the character, and I've never been able to get into her. Until those first 2 issues, I felt like it grounded her, but still kept with the origins that everyone loves from the character, or has been fans of the character with the Kieran Gillen stuff. And I feel like that's where this issue diverts a little, and I think it isolates those fans a little bit. And again, I'm coming from a point of view that not that type of fan where I fell in love with her in Young Avengers, but I definitely feel for those fans because it really tries to retcon almost on purpose. I don't really feel like it needed to be retconned. And honestly, I also don't like it. It's making her origins a bit more traumatic, where Origins was very light and actually a very happy origin, where she has 2 moms, she's from another dimension, she has confidence. There wasn't a lot of sadness there. So I don't know why they went this route to make her origins super traumatic. I did like the idea that she had a sister. I thought, I enjoyed that twist. So that's why it's not very low on my list, but I'm a little confused by the decision. It really did feel like a jump the shark moment, because like I said, I really liked those first 2 issues, and the retcon made sense. It made all fans happy. It grounded the character, but here I don't really know what fan they're trying to make happy. So I'm going to give that 3 stars. Obviously, I'm going to see the miniseries through, but I was disappointed with this issue, and that was number 7. Moving on to number 6, which is Firepower, issue 11. This is a little lower than usual just because it's an action issue. When I say it's an action issue, that's literally all that happens in this issue is action. And I actually don't think this was Chris Samnee's best work. There were faces that didn't really have as much detail as they could just because there was so much action pieces to do in this issue. And then there wasn't a lot of story, honestly. It's just trying to convince the other side, saying, hey, you're wrong. And then the big moment is that our main character does find out that his former lover is still alive. But we don't really get much from it. It's just more of a reaction shot. So it was definitely a slower issue. I was a little disappointed with this one. Still love the book, and I'm very excited to see how that revelation is going to affect our main character. But like I said, it was a little bit of a slower one. So I'm gonna give that 3 stars, and that is number 6. Moving on to a book that's a bit higher than usual, and that is number 5, Suicide Squad, issue 3. And I like the humor of this issue, actually. I thought there was a lot of jokes that landed, especially about Amanda Waller. I liked, I forget the character that appears, but it kind of looked like the witch character. I forget his name, but I don't know if it is actually them. But anyways, they were really funny, and I liked the mystery of Superboy, exactly why he's there. I like that that's built up a bit more. I like the conflict between Peacemaker and Superboy. It's still a little bland for me, the book, but I think it definitely injected a little bit more personality. I liked the cliffhanger with Red X. It didn't tie into Teen Titans as much as I thought it would with this crossover idea. It really just mentions the Flash again, and Bolt character, and we already knew about this character, and we've already seen references to her, and then Red X appears in the end. So it's not much of a crossover. I do hope Teen Titans Academy takes the baton a little bit more there, but overall I liked it. It gave me enough to see where this series is gonna go, at least for another couple of issues, and hopefully it picks up more. So I'm gonna give that 3.5 stars, and that is number 5. Moving on to number 4, which is Batman issue 108. So Batman, this is a purely Miracle Molly story where we get to see her pretty much explaining to Batman everything that she does, and is very exposition heavy, very dialogue heavy. But I kind of liked in the end why she's doing it. She knows it's Batman, and she doesn't have any cards to hide. She's just a very open person. I kind of like that. Very different characterization for a Batman villain who, Batman's always in the shadows. So to see a character very honest about what she's doing and literally telling all her plans to Batman on purpose, I actually thought was pretty clever. So I like that. I obviously really like the artwork, and kind of the more cyberpunk look to the book was cool. I do not care about the Peacemakers, though. I really want to leave Future State in the past. So to see Peacemaker and all that was the stuff I thought slowed down the story, but definitely curious to see more of Miracle Molly. So giving that 3.5 stars, and that is number 4. Moving on to number 3, which is Nocterra, issue 3. And I thought this issue picked up a bit from issue 2, where we get to see the grandfather of that young girl sacrifice himself. So there was a lot of action in this issue. But I also love the flashbacks, where we get to learn a little bit more about the parents. So we get to see how they transformed into these creatures, and how that's relating to our main character's brother. And I love the tie-in of the idea of love, and obviously them loving each other as a family, but once they become these creatures, they love something else. And we get to see that with the brother in the end, where he says, I love you, not to the sister, but to this other thing. So I really enjoyed that aspect. There are times where the dialogue is really heavy in this issue, and there is a good amount of exposition here, but I still enjoyed this one, and I'm curious to see where the mythology is going to go for this world, and how that's going to affect the characters. So Nocterra issue 3 gets 3.5 stars, and that is number 3. Moving on to number 2, and that's Babyteeth issue 17. It has been a while since this book has come out. I really think it's been about 2 years since the last issue. Luckily, this issue does a pretty good job at recapping what's happened before, so I don't really feel like it skipped a beat, weirdly enough. It references the mother again, what the kids are up to, that the dad died, and I really like the cliffhanger of this issue, where we get to see Satan is building a baby Satan army, an Antichrist army, and I thought that was really interesting and a very good cliffhanger. I just hope we get this next issue in the next couple of months and not the next couple of years. I actually don't know if there's a release date for the next issue in the back or not. I don't think there actually is. It just says next issue. Oh, it says June. So hopefully it does come out in June, because I think it's like going towards the end of the story. But yeah, the artwork is really dark and red, and it works for this book really well. And I like the interactions between the intermediate family, between the mom, between Heather, and our main character, Sadie. I enjoyed it. And I thought even bringing up references of some of the hell creatures from previous arcs was well done here. It's a very quick read, but a lot happens in this issue. And I thought, again, it was a hard challenge to kind of keep this not new reader friendly, but at least memorable from all the things that happened in the past. And I think it did a good job at jogging your memory, even if you haven't read the last issue since it came out. Like me, haven't read it since it came out. So I'm giving that 4 stars, and that is number 2. Moving on to number 1, really happy to see this as my pick of the week, and that is Marauders issue 20. And this was a really good Storm goodbye issue. It's the team celebrating her as a character and what they've done with her, at least during the time period of being on the Marauders, and how many knives she's hiding. And I thought that was a lot of fun. And I liked the little stories, and I just really enjoyed the character interaction here. And I thought it was a good setup to what's going to hopefully be a big event with Hellfire Gala. The little letter from Emma giving a ring to Kitty. What's that all about? I'm telling you, they're teasing us so much with Emma and Kitty. But yeah, I like that, and I thought it was a good setup. And just seeing Emma being really nervous about this gala. You don't see Emma nervous a lot as a character, so to see that was really interesting, and some good setup with Sebastian as well, and some Sentinel stuff. So it wasn't just a Storm goodbye, it actually was a good prelude issue as well. This is my favorite artist on the book as well. I think they do a really good job at facial expressions, and everyone's look is really good. And again, I love all the knife talk. I thought that worked in really well with the issues. I thought it was a very solid goodbye to Storm, and a fun issue with some emotional parts as well, and that really highlights why Storm's a badass and a great character. So I'm giving that 4 stars, and that is my pick of the week. Let me know in the comments below what was your pick of the week. And this week's viewer pick of the week was Shadecraft issue 2, which was actually my pick of the week from last week as well. And here are some comments about that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno. Definitely follow me on Twitter and Facebook. Go check out my comics like Father Like Daughter and They Call Her Dancer. And every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time is Comic Book Weekly, where we discuss our favorite comics and comic book news. Thanks, guys. Bye.